Hi everyone, I'm Chow. I'm a radio presenter, content creator, and today your host for this episode of BloomrPulse. Today we're talking about personal finance, one of the topics that I love speaking with my friends about actually. And we're going to delve a bit deeper into women and investing. We have an amazing panel here with us and I want to find out more about them too. So let's do a quick introduction.
Hi guys, I'm Kelvin from Kelvin Loves Investing. I run a personal finance YouTube channel that talks about how to invest your money, how to save money, how to use your credit cards, stuff like that.
It's a bit like Money Smart, but from a personal perspective.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Dawn?
Hi, so I'm Dawn. I run SGBudgetBabe. I mainly write and I also update on Instagram fairly often, so that's where I share about personal finance.
And here we have Val. What's up, Val?
What's up, Chow? Okay, so I'm Valerie. I'm an actor, I'm a content creator, and I am not a finance expert. In fact, I might be a finance floozy, if you will.
Okay.
I'm the opposite. Do not take financial advice from me. I will make you lose all your money.
Hey, but I think it's okay to start somewhere. At least you have some curiosity about the topic, I'm guessing.
Of course. So I don't know anything about it. I'm interested and open to learning more.
Yeah.
I have lots of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of things I don't know.
Today you're going to get free financial advice, right?
Yeah, it's free.
Disclaimer, this is not licensed or brought to you by MAS.
Yeah. This is a good disclaimer, actually. So let's delve into our first discussion. Are women less competent in their finances as compared to their male counterparts? Straight up, right? Off the bat, what's your reaction to that? Like, I want to hear from Dawn. Yeah, I want to hear from Dawn.
I would say women are actually better.
Ooh.
So I wrote an article on my blog maybe, say, 7-8 years ago about this topic on how if you want to invest really well, Warren Buffett actually invests like a woman. And that may explain why his record is like, unbeatable. What does the guy say?
I have to admit, like, when I first saw this topic, then I see the list of guests, oh.
It's like putting you on the spot, right?
1v3.
Yeah, and so whatever I say, I have respect for women.
Good disclaimer, important.
For real though, I do think women are better at all the finances and investing stuff like that. When I look at my demographics for my channel, 80% of them are men.
Wow.
And women are just like 20%.
More attention from guys just because
Correct.
of the topic that you talk about.
Yeah, so guys like finance topics more than women, but I think women do have better investing
I'm so curious, why do you think men have this preference over women?
As a man, right? I'm speaking from my point of view,
Yes.
Obviously. not
Hey,
generalizing
relax,
things.
it's okay.
So like as a man, right, I feel that I have to provide for the family.
Right.
Taking care of the wife, taking care of the kids, taking care of all the finances of the family. And to do that, sometimes I may want to overcompensate to earn more money.
Right.
Sort of. But as a woman, I see from my wife's point of view, she'll be like, I can depend on my husband for this kind of thing.
I see.
In that case, I can take it slow and easy.
Yeah.
I can go into safer investments, this kind of thought.
Dawn, what do you think of that?
Can I just say mine's a completely different experience?
Is it your husband will 靠你吃饭 kind?
I manage everything in our household and I wouldn't put myself in the situation where I would rely on my husband to manage the finances. I would want to have at least an equal say. And in fact, even on the demography, I've known you for so long, I didn't even know it was 80% men because I get 70% women.
I love that.
30%
At least
male.
women have someone to turn to with regard to this topic, that there is a voice in the space. Maybe the reason why there is a skew based on Kelvin's channel is also because traditionally maybe women are known to take on more caregiver roles in families. But this is a very traditional societal role, which as the time goes by will slowly disintegrate as well. Therefore, I think in the recent years, there has been a surge in women being more interested in taking charge of their own finances.
She is a lady and he's a man, so she's more relatable to female audiences.
Of course,
and
yeah.
He's more relatable to male audiences.
Yeah.
I think also one thing that's worth noting is as the women go into the more caregiver role, it's a different season of their lives. So things drop off. I was definitely able to put more hours into my investment research when I was single and I didn't have to run around looking after my kids or chasing them, telling them to don't touch the electricity point and stuff, dangerous stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the same for a lot of females as well, but they start getting stressed out about it because when they are pregnant, they then start thinking about the cost involved in having a kid, and then they realize they need to provide for the kid, school fees are going up, and that's when they're like, wake up,
Now
I
is
need
the
to do
time
something.
to do something. Is it?
Yeah.
On that note, I've got some statistics to share, and you can tell me what you think about this too. So, the Global Women and Money Study 2023 found that 89% of women in Singapore worry about rising cost of living, precisely what you shared, and 75% are anxious about their ability to save and invest. However, despite their concerns, only 27% feel confident in their ability to save enough for retirement, compared to 43% of men in Singapore. Only 29% of women in Singapore feel confident in their financial skills, compared to 41% of men. The statistics does kind of show that women are less confident. Are they truly?
I think for sure, yeah. Because a lot of times, it's not just the women, right? It's a human thing. We worry or we think about something,
Yep.
but you never go beyond the thought to actually taking action. So it just stays there. So you'll forever be worried. You'll forever be thinking, I won't be able to hit retirement. But what do you really do to go and get started
Yep.
to solve that problem? And the thing about investing is that there are just so many layers. When you look at personal finance, right, there's a whole gamut of what we cover. There's things like how do you manage your budget? How do you ask for a pay raise at your job?
Yeah.
How do you manage? Do you top up your CPF or do you invest it elsewhere? What credit card to use? There's just so many
Yes,
things
so
under
many.
personal finance that it gets very overwhelming.
It does.
So to even get past the initial, like what we would call adulting 101 finance, right? And later then move on into investing, a lot of people get stuck at just trying to figure out that first part.
Yep.
And they never get to that second part.
Yep.
And that's why they
overcoming
feel-
an inertia to begin, I
Yep.
guess. I actually would love to hear Val's opinion or Val's thoughts on compounding. Just share with her a little bit more about that. So compounding and how investing works with compounding.
The earlier you start, even if you start with lower amount, given enough time, the money that is very small at the start can grow exponentially. That's the basic principle of our CPF system. Yeah, so that's the magic of compounding.
Think of it as like your career in acting, right? Like the more shows you do, the better you get, and then the less rehearsal time you need. And it's the same thing in your money. Like it just grows and grows, and you probably already see it in your bank account, except that it's not very significant because the banks only pay like single digit or 0.05% depending on which bank account you're on. But if you actually invest that, like, you know, a 5% return, 8% return, 10% return year on year, like it can grow to an incredible sum. And that's how like stories of those janitors who don't earn huge salary paycheck can actually still retire very rich.
This man basically put money into, I think it was index funds.
There
or
are
a
several
couple of-
versions of the story. I think there were several janitors who did that, right? So there
Yeah.
were some with index funds, some with some stocks.
Correct. So basically, man invested, didn't do a job that earned a lot of money, but he really just put whatever he made into stocks and investments. And over the course of many years, I would say his lifetime actually, he became a millionaire. And he donated all the money when he passed away. I think the lesson that we take away from that is just looking at how compounding works and how that if you start, the greatest resource and asset that you have right now is your time. You're 20-ish, 20-something.
Yeah.
So then you have X number of years before you hit your retirement age, right? And those are the years that you can use to compound. I had the same fears. And a lot of the reason why I even began and why I tried to seek financial security by myself and financial independence came from a place of need and also fear. It's like everything is scary. Just choose yours.
Choose your scary.
Choose your scary. Everything is scary. Choose your scary. Everything is hard. You got to choose your heart. What do you think you will need in order to be more confident?
What I would say is like from somebody who doesn't know very much, the roadblock in my mind is like, first I think I need to have a sum of money that I'm okay with losing or not seeing for a while. So that would be the first hurdle.
Yes.
The second would be to do a bunch of research to the extent that I'm satisfied with, to know that when I make this decision, it's probably a safe decision so that the first hurdle won't feel so scary.
Yeah.
But that second one is where like the procrastination and all that can come in, because it's easier to delay it than to put in all the time when you have a busy schedule. You have to set aside a few hours to like do some reading.
Now, but I want to say, don't worry, you are not alone. So in the Straits Times in 2023, they reported that 53.4% of female Singaporean investors wish to be financially secure and retire before turning 60, but 40.2% were not confident that they can meet their retirement goals, saying that they are not mentally or financially prepared to face a loss or reduction in income. Kelvin, I'm curious to find out from your perspective, why do you think women may be less confident, if you know anybody in your life or anyone around you?
I think it's not just woman kind of thing. It's like it affects both gender lah. In anime, you need to have a canon event for the story to happen. So like Spider-Man, yes, the uncle has to die.
Right.
For Lion King, the father has to die. Basically all this kind of thing.
No.
So for investment, right, the canon event is that you have to lose money first.
I see.
In order to be confident. Because it's just part and parcel of investing lah.
So you have to be comfortable with seeing the rate.
Within 5 years or 10 years of investing, you are very likely to see rate. I think some statistics show that only after you have invested for like 20 years period that you won't see any rate. So that's how long it needs to be for investing to really grow.
Yeah.
So when we talk about like the 8 wonder, the compound thing, it sounds really nice. but actually the real world doesn't work like that. It doesn't go up in a straight curve.
Yep.
It goes up and down all the time. Like for example, the last market crash, the market went down by I think 20-30% within a year, and this is considered an optimistic. In worst case, it has dropped by more than 80%. So losing money is very common. So that's the first thing you have to internalize. Then the other thing is, okay, well mentioned, like you have to study a lot of numbers and kind of stuff. But I would tell for like new investors, the easiest way is to just buy like broad-based market index fund. Yeah.
So it's kind of like having a slice of all the companies within that fund. You're having a little bit of everything because you generally are optimistic about the performance of the global market.
And the beauty about buying those kind of index tracker funds is that when a company underperforms, they get kicked out of it. So then the index manager will replace them with another company, and you don't really have to worry about the winners or losers because the index automatically recalibrates all of that. I want to add another perspective on like your fear of seeing rate, right? Because that's a very real fear that most people have. But I'll caveat that the earlier you see that rate, the better it will be for yourself and your portfolio. Reason being because if you're, let's say in your 20s, how much can you really invest? Let's say even if you are in a high paying job like tech, okay, and you earn maybe say 300k, 400k a year. I see some YouTubers talking about that. But maybe you might only invest say 10k, 20k for a start. Compare that to someone else who's in their 40s or 50s and really starting to be like, oh no, I only have 10 or 15 years left. I really need to get this done. Okay, I'm going to just throw in all my savings now. That amount's going to be so much bigger. And everyone will need to go through the rate, right? So the cost, how painful and how much you actually lose in that rate is going to be smaller in your younger years. But the lessons that you learn out of it is the same. Yeah, whether you lose $100, $1,000 or $100,000, the lessons you learn about yourself, how you react, how you invest, and what you could have done better is going to be the same. Except for black swan events. That's the only caveat.
What's a black swan event?
Like COVID. And in fact, COVID is a bad example because the market's recovered, right? Let's just look at the S&P, for instance. It dropped, 30% in a short span of 1 month when COVID really took over the world. But then look at it now. It's like hitting all-time highs. Anyone who did not give up would have actually seen that drop. But now it's like, woohoo, green again, Whereas, let's say if someone was investing in individual stocks, okay, let's use the example of maybe Starbucks or Domino's Pizza. Because of COVID, they had to shut their doors, only do delivery. And then as a result, their sales plummeted, right? Not since you're at home, then you make your own pizza or you make your own coffee, you don't buy out as much. But so their stocks did drop in the beginning of the COVID period. But after that, you look at it now, it's since recovered again. So to go through that drop, you would have either done two things. One is if you were invested before, you would have panicked and you would have ran away and you would have sold. So you would have taken the loss. And let's say you took a 1K loss, okay? But then as you watch the markets recover, you're like, oh no, why was I like that? Shouldn't have done that. And you realize wait, why did I even run away in the first place? Was it because I didn't understand how it works? Was it because I was too scared? What can I do better to, overcome that knowledge gap? Or what can I do to control and rein in my emotions the next time it happens? So then, the next time a market crash happens or the next time your stock goes into the red, you won't react so quickly anymore. Yeah, it's the same kind of things that we learn when we're younger. You learn it faster and later on, your skills help you, right? It's the same thing in investing. Yeah, so the earlier you start, the less you lose, but the lessons you get out of it is going to be more valuable.
You know, since we're on the topic of the lessons that you learn, I'm curious for the both of you, since you are more experienced in investing, what are some of the struggles and pain points that you personally faced in your journey?
I can share my first investing mistake. I wrote about it on my blog as well. So when I first started investing, I was in my 20s. Back then, brokerages not as advanced as they are today. You can just open online with SingPass. I actually had to go physically down to a branch, right? I was at this event and there was like the brokerages having all the roadshows there. So I went up to the one that was with my bank and I started speaking to the person. So I got to meet this broker and he seemed like he knew a lot of stuff, very educated, knew a lot about markets. He was like, yeah, I've been invested for very long. I help a lot of my clients. Yeah, sure. And then got me open up the account and all, right? And later on, he would update me on stuff. So one of the first stocks that he showed to me was SingPost. Back then, SingPost was actually going through e-commerce turnaround story. So there was a lot of narrative on the news and the CEO was very vocal about sharing what their plans were, etc., etc. My broker told me this. He said like, hey, you just started lah. You don't know a lot of things. Trust me. You know, I got my parents to buy. You think I will hide my own parents? I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think he will do that to his parents lah. So I foolishly believe in his, buy call for SingPost and I went in. So the e-commerce turnaround never happened. Now we know it's all the competitors like the Ninja Van and all the other big brands, right? They have come up to really eat away at that market share. And SingPost is just one of the many players now in the e-commerce and logistics market. Nothing like the winner takes all picture that they were painting during that period.
Right.
And when I walk away from that loss, what I realized and learned, and today I still remind myself whenever something like that happens, is that never just trust what the brokerage says. Never trust what the analysts say because everyone has an incentive to sell me something or sell me the idea of something, especially my broker because he earns from every trade that I make, right? And the analysts, they are in the jobs when they issue buy or sell side reports. They're there for a reason. That's their job. So the more you believe in the buy call report, that's their report being successful. Or same thing for the other way. So when you learn to disconnect from all of these intentions and really make a decision for yourself, like that was a $2,000 lesson.
And back then, it was a lot of money for a 20-something-year-old.
It was, yeah. But today, like $2,000, I can get it back within 1 month of salary, right? Back then, I was earning $2,000 take home. So it was very painful.
Yeah, 1 month of salary, just like that.
Yeah, but today it's a different story. So I'm actually glad that cost of the lesson was $2,000 instead of other people who I've heard similar cases. They're like, yeah, I learned never to trust my broker or my FA, and then I asked like, oh, what happened? And their cost is like, wow, 5 digits, 6 digits. So yeah, that's one thing that I learned. So I would say if you're scared, start now because you pay lesser tuition fees.
I think for me, it's a bit similar to what Dawn experienced. So Tesla, I think everyone who follows me knows
Tesla hurt you, is it?
Yeah, it's still hurting me.
Oh no, Elon Musk.
So like back then when I first started investing, it was around 2020 lah. So there was this very big voice on YouTube telling everyone to buy Tesla because Tesla is this next big thing. The whole world is moving to EV. There's only this company Tesla that's changing the world and this kind of thing. Eventually, I bought in. Almost like 80% of my entire portfolio is just Tesla.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Wow, the confidence you had there, sir.
But it's not to say that now I'm not so confident in the stock. I still am.
Don, what do you have to say?
I still am, but over time I realized that okay, there are things that I can control. And there are things that I can't control. So like maybe the CEO talk shit on Twitter, the stock can crash. These are the things I can't control. Like China, they go and ban. Maybe there are some politics going on with the company. These are the things that I can't control. Once I realized that, I started to trim down my holdings to the stock and start buying other stocks instead. So that's called diversification, rainbow. So I think that's my mistake of trying to all in into one stock because I've missed quite a lot of gains these few years because while every stock is going up, Tesla is going the other way down.
What was the main lesson learned from that?
I think it's the same thing, not to trust someone too much. By the way, the person who recommended this has already left Tesla. Then I'm like, oh no. Yeah, so in the end, it's your own money. You have to just trust your own research and stuff. But also, it's hard to trust yourself at the start because like when you search Tesla on, let's say YouTube, the algorithm will start pushing all the Tesla videos. Like everyone will every thumbnail show Tesla is good, buy Tesla now, kind of thing. So this is the thing that you need experience to decide for yourself.
Maybe not to delve too much into detail, just at a very broad level, how do you choose what you invest in?
I think a better way to share this would be to walk you guys through it. So maybe Val, what is a company that you really like? Any brand that you love? Like you're wearing athleisure, right? You like Lululemon.
Okay, all right. I'll say Lululemon.
Okay, I haven't analyzed that stock a lot, but it's a pretty decent company and it's been growing. The share price has also gone up a lot. So if let's say you started with being a Lululemon fan, you would have gone to see how crowded are their stores, right? How do they sell? Because they use very different sales tactic compared to every other brand, right? I mean, if you look at it, Nike, Adidas, these are all their competitors. But Lululemon went down the very niche yoga, Pilates studios kind of method. So they really built on community and then they started growing from there. So it was very niche. It was very cool kid kind of. It made you look good, right? And then there were people trying to find Lululemon dupes online. They're like, ooh, let's look at this imitation piece. But they would always say it doesn't really capture the quality or the shape as well. So if you tried that for yourself and you were convinced that Lululemon produces products that really has no other competitor, or it's very hard for competitors to come in and eat away the market share, and you see more and more of your friends are starting to wear Lululemon, you're like, hey, how come I got discount, got sale? I'm like, no, I just tried it and it was life-changing. Yeah, and then you start to realize, hey, is there something about this company that could make for a good investment? So then that's the first start, right? Because you need to understand first, what does the company do? How does it make its money? And how does it spend its money, obviously, on materials and all that kind of stuff. The next thing you would look at is then the financials. So maybe, yes, you see the brand everywhere. But one thing I was telling Kelvin back then when he told me about Tesla, I was like, but Tesla never make profit. They are making a lot of money from selling their carbon credits to other companies, but they're still not in a profitable zone. And for me, that's a very hard hurdle. Like, I need the company to be profitable before I would even consider it. Because otherwise, then it's a very high-risk company for me. I wouldn't really go down the rabbit hole with it.
Yep.
So you would then look at the annual reports of Lululemon. It may seem a bit daunting, but actually it's not that difficult. You can just pull up the income statement, the cash flow, and then you see every year, how much money do they make? Or nowadays you can even ask ChatGPT, how much money or how much profits did Lululemon make last year? And then ChatGPT will just tell you the answer, right? Then you can just validate it to make sure ChatGPT did not hallucinate that number out for you. From there, then you can see, okay, what about the management? Is the CEO a crook? Or is he really a very innovative entrepreneur, really cares about making the best athleisure brand in the world, like a Steve Jobs of Apple, that kind of story. So you will look into the management, how well it's run. And then finally at the end, you will run, but this is the hardest one. And Kelvin and I did a live stream about this recently, which is up on his YouTube channel. We talk about how to value it. So because if everything's all great, right? But then are you overpaying for it? So an example now would be like NVIDIA, everyone's talking about AI, and NVIDIA has just shot up to I think just a couple of weeks ago, it was $950. Today and then just a couple of days ago, it was $830. Yeah. Today it's like $870. I don't know. The fluctuations are so frequent that it's hard to even keep track. But you would then look at it and is there a lot of hype built into the stock right now? Is it that a lot of people are watching all the YouTube videos saying that Lululemon is a great stock, that's why they're all running into it? Or maybe the company has just reviewed some grand plans and everyone is very optimistic. That's where you would run some numbers to see if it might be overvalued. And there's many different ways of running it.
I think Dawn is scaring her.
But it's fun.
So I think this is the most daunting stuff for most investors, right? Because Dawn is a professional in this, she is very well versed in this stuff. So even when she talks about it, I feel very okay. This is scaring me too. So for me, I believe more in the broad-based market fund, like what I said just now. So first, there's the world. Then you can look at countries. Like if you believe in the US to continue to do well, then you can buy the US fund. This contains all the top companies in just that country. Then if you want to dive further down, it can be in a certain sector. Like if you believe in AI will continue to progress, you can buy an AI fund that contains all the top companies in the AI industry. By going into one individual stock, you have to do all that list of research that took like 5 minutes to explain. But just by going into one fund, as long as you believe that entire industry will do well,
Okay.
then that fund will generally do well going forward.
Then explain why Tesla. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I think now we're going to take a bit of a peek because I'm very curious to find out also a breakdown of how you spend your money.
How I spend my money. All right.
Or where your money goes.
90% of it goes to earrings. 10%. Okay, no, just kidding. Okay.
Much brain. I'm so gullible. I believe anything someone says.
No. So I don't really trace the exact percentage, but my approach, right, is to don't spend unnecessarily and save everything. So right now I'm in a bit of a place where like whatever I have to save, right, I just save it. Save as much as possible. But I do have insurance. Right now it's 0% on investment. So I would say as much as possible, because you know this industry is a little bit unstable. So I try to keep it 50% savings, 50% expenditure as much as possible. And if I have excess, then it also goes into savings. But that's the percentage I try to keep.
So 50-50.
Yeah.
And where the 50% of savings parked
Into my bank account. I know you don't want to hear that.
Which bank account are you using?
Yeah, because there are high yield accounts and low yield accounts.
DBS, POSB.
POSB savings.
Yeah.
Which one? Just the savings account.
Yeah.
The 0.05%.
So,
She's so disappointed now. She's so disappointed.
so which one is the good one?
Can you move that into like, if you don't want to switch banks, can you at least move that in maybe DBS multiplier?
I knew she was going to say No, but when choosing a bank account, my own personal decision making is I really just look at the interest rate and the criteria that I need to hit in order to unlock that interest rate.
Yeah, it's subjective because what criteria you can hit is different. For example, for yourself, you said you're an actress, right? So you mostly do gig and project-based work. You don't get a stable salary. You don't have income credited every month. So that eliminates you from a lot of the banks already. But then DBS and UOB, DBS multiplier and UOB one, they have other criteria that you can still try to hit even if you don't do the salary credit thing. So you have to actually take a look at whether you can meet that and then decide if that bank works for you.
So even though you're a freelancer, I think this is useful for freelancers. The DBS multiplier, as long as you are credited under the salary code. So if anyone who pays you, you just tell them it has to include the salary code, it will be counted towards a salary credit. So you don't have to have a fixed salary every month to be able to qualify for the benefits of that. Yeah.
Let
Make
me
sense?
give a better tip. UOB one has this.
I just got shot. Like,
So-
out of
so
nowhere.
for the yes multiplier, this salary code, it has to come from a company to qualify for the salary crediting criteria. But for UOB one, they allow you to transfer to yourself via PayNow. But as long as you put it under salary code, you will still qualify for the salary criteria. As long as you qualify for the salary criteria and the credit card criteria, you can get like, I think 3.85% interest, which is much better than the 0.05% interest. But now, yes, lowered down to, I think, 3% interest, but it's still the best right now in the industry. So if you are too lazy to transfer money to yourself, the next best one would be, I think, Mari Bank. It doesn't require to do anything at all. Just put money in there, you will straight away earn like 2.88% interest for a few months before they start lowering.
Sorry, I missed that. What was it?
Mari Bank.
Wait, but Mari, when is it SDIC protected?
Yes, it is.
So then
It's
you can be rest assured that your money is not going to disappear.
up to, I think, 100K. Yeah.
So the other thing about leaving your money in a 0.05% account
Wow, the
is that
judgment in that tone.
She's saying
I must
in that tone.
emphasize it's because you automatically get poorer every year. Yeah, think about this. Inflation right now is at about, in Singapore, right, 3 to 4, right? We're not as bad, not as high as the US.
But my chicken rice is more than that.
I know, yeah. Don't talk about the dining out expenses. Okay, so on average, right, like the headline inflation rate is about 3 to 4%. Let's just take that as a number every year. And your bank only pays you 0.05%. So you save like, let's say $10,000. But your chicken rice has gone up from how much? $2 to what, $6 now?
Not so much.
Depends on where you eat also, right? The power of what your money can buy you gets less and less every year. Which is why the first thing you should do, even if you don't walk out of this room investing in anything, is to at least move it into a high yield savings account that gets you at least hopefully 2 to 4% a year to keep pace with inflation. But you're still going to lose to inflation. So after that, then it's really about, can you then make the move to overcome that inertia and hurdle to go into investing to beat that?
I'm curious to find out from the both of you, what was it like before you started investing and now in your current stage of life, the breakdown of your expenses and money?
I think for me, not much has changed other than my income went up.
Yay!
but it
Power
was-
to you, King.
Yeah, but it was because I changed career lah. So I didn't really track my finances
Yep.
because I'm a natural saver, meaning I just save everything that I can.
Like you.
I try my best. I think he's better at saving.
Ah.
I try only. Never say whether or not I succeed.
Okay.
So I also try to save. Then everything I'll just put in the high yield savings account. That gives me a high interest. My strategy is very simple. As long as I keep 6 months worth of emergency funds. So let's say if I spend $1,000 a year, 6 months of that is $6,000 in the savings account. Then anything extra, I will just put all that into investment because those are the money that I do not need within the next 1 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
What about your war chest?
What's a war chest?
So when market crash, you boom, put all the money in.
Yeah, so I transfer all of the money that I don't need into the brokerage account, but I don't invest all of it immediately. So I invest like $5,000 every 1 or 2 weeks, but I still have a lot of money left. So that if the market ever crashes, I will just dump more money in.
As I'm a beginner, so I'm like, the market's crashing. My first instinct is to hoard all the money and hide it under my bed. But why would you continue putting it out there in the world?
Let's say you know this Chanel bag is worth $10,000 and you see it at a thrift store for some reason for just $4,000. Would you buy?
I'd be suspicious. Why is it?
Yeah.
Why is it?
That's actually a good move because you want to go and find out why, right? So you go and Google, you research what happened to the company, how come it's so cheap now. But after you've done all that checks and you're like, hey, really, this is a real Chanel bag, would you buy?
It's cursed. No, I mean, okay, if by some freak event somebody threw away a perfectly fine Chanel bag sitting in a thrift store because the person who gave it to them cheated on them or whatever. Okay, sure, I'll get it.
Exactly. So that is the same concept with market
Yeah,
investing.
that happens quite often in the market. And people run away from this because they are like, oh,
Yeah.
what if this drops even further? But these 5 years, I think a lot of stocks have dropped and all recovered more than 100%.
Yep.
So that's how people take advantage of this kind of crashes.
So is it a matter of being able to stomach the fear of more potential loss?
Yes, but also knowing what you invest. So like you say, it must be a real Chanel bag. You don't go and buy a dupe. Then that one is you kind of cheated.
Okay. And for Dawn, what's the breakdown of where your money is at now and last time?
Two things have changed, right? One is my life stage. So before I had kids, when I was just single and dating, I was very proud of the fact that I could only spend $500 a month. So I stayed with my student allowance budget and I always like to make it such that I would be able to save 100% of my income. So how I do that is actually very simple. I have a day job, right? That is my 100%. I just need to take on a few side hustles. So I taught tuition and then ta-da, 1 or 2 tuitions would pay for my whole monthly expenses. So I would then be able to save 100 and invest that.
I think that's girl math, right? You have to add up all your income together.
It's a mind hack. Yeah,
Right.
it's not good math, it's mind hack.
Sounds like gold math to me.
Basically, that was my before, and then what happened was that once I clocked up back then 6 months of emergency savings as well, then I would really look at saving and investing the rest. But that changed after the kids came along because household wise, we need to think about more people. So now if anything happens, it's not just me that I need to pay. I also need to pay for the kids' food and all the education and stuff, right? So my emergency savings are now at 12 months. It's a bit, some people say it's extreme, but I think that gives me the safety net that I need, the assurance. And then everything else beyond this 12 months and beyond our expenses, I would say maybe expenses would be 30 to 40% right now combined. And then we would just look at putting the rest in the investment war chest where we earn 3 to 4% at least, and then investing the rest of them.
I guess to kind of wrap up as well, do you have any resources or tools that you use to continue to educate yourself? I mean, Kelvin, you're still learning, right? So where do you look?
There are a lot of social media stuff that you can consume. Like, okay, let's say for example, Seedly, Dollars and Cents, all the blogs.
Yeah.
Or you my channel.
Yes, go and support.
So a lot of them are very, very digestible. It's not as hard as you think. So I think once you overcome the fear of losing money, I think the rest is quite easy.
I read a lot of other people's take about the economy and about businesses. I read about what the CEOs will say about their own businesses. Yeah, so it's a bit more geeky,
in-depth, right?
technical stuff.
Like very detailed.
Yeah, I like reading the news. So now my algo knows how to feed me the updates on stuff that I'm tracking as well. Exactly like what Kelvin said, right? Depending on your choice, I like to read. So I learn very badly from videos like what Kelvin does. Yeah, in fact, when I watch his videos, I'm like, I have to keep pausing because I'm like, wait, what did he say? And then I'm like, wait, he said something, but was it the 8-minute mark or the 12-minute mark? And that frustrates me to no end. So what I prefer instead is to read. Yeah, I read a lot of websites and blogs and news and magazines. And then if you like to listen, there's a lot of podcasts also that you can listen to. There's YouTube if you like to watch. Yeah, there's many different sources. Even on Instagram, lots of people are now hopping onto the personal finance content pillars, so you can do that. But I would say one thing to help you overcome that fear, right, to really get you started is to just put in some money. And you can do it in both ways. So we've talked about like broad-based investing, which is like buying a whole country or whole industry or whole sector. You could do into something like the S&P 500 tracker fund, right? Any brokerage would definitely have those funds for you to choose from. And you can look out for iShares or Vanguard. I think Kelvin has a whole video on this as well, so you can check those out. Or just ask Google, which fund should I buy to track the S&P 500? They'll come up with a whole list for you. So just look at those names and just maybe put in $50, $100 and see what happens to your money. Then because you are literally invested already, there's real money at stake, right? You will start to follow and be more interested into what's actually happening. Yeah. And then the other thing also is we talk about picking stocks. So that actually I find is the more fun part. So I do have the fundamentals of the broad-based indexes. I think everyone needs that fundamentals. But like what we always say, if you want to beat the market, right, you do need to pick stocks. Because the market, when you invest in the market, you get market returns. That's it. So if you're happy to be average and follow market returns, that's great. But if you want to outperform, you like analyzing, reading and understanding businesses, then you can start with investing in the stocks of stuff that you actually use. So like, for example, if you watch Netflix drama, I'm hooked on Queen of Tears right now. So you could buy like maybe just one share of Netflix, or if Netflix is too expensive, you can even buy like a fractional share. Or just look at what are your favorite brands. Would they be Apple, P&G, the shampoos and stuff like that? You can just buy a bit of maybe just 1 or 2 shares. You see how they perform. Starbucks also. Actually, almost everything now has a share equivalent in the market. And then just buy 1 or 2 and watch how you react to them. Now you'll be like, yeah, my Starbucks stocks went up 10%. And you're like, but only $1 because I put in $10 only. And then they will be like, oh, maybe should I put more? But then you'll start asking, will the 10% continue?
Yep.
Or I think it's just a fluke. Yeah. Maybe I should look into something else instead. Luckin Coffee seems to be more competitive these days. Is Starbucks losing their edge? So you then start to think about all these questions. I think that's where the fun of investing actually comes in.
I love all your sharing, honestly. It's very, very insightful, and you go into such detail as well. And I feel like the both of you gave very good advice for people who are really just looking into this space and starting out. So let's hear it from Val, who has really absorbed everything that everyone has shared.
You know when the teacher calls you out of nowhere. Yes, Chow.
To really wrap it up, I want to know what your reflections are after listening to what everyone shared.
I mean, definitely very informative. And I also realized that a lot of things that was holding me back also stems from a place of not knowing enough as well. So I think the first hurdle is to really go look into what would be the correct actionable things to do. So I don't need like a huge amount of money. I should also be willing to change my mindset on, seeing red sometimes. I can start small always. It doesn't have to be so extreme. And I think the most actionable step I can do right now as a beginner is the DBS multiplier account. Yeah. That one, I'm not going to lose any money.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing, Val, and being open to talking about your own personal finances and where you're standing right now. Regardless of your gender or your stage of life, you can really start at any time. I feel like Dawn has really shook up my perspective a little bit on how women view finances and investing as well. So I'm very appreciative for that. And of course, to everyone who is watching right now, if you are new to investing, the encouragement from us is really to take a first step. Give it a shot. You'll never know, really. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of BloomrPulse. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and of course, go and support their channels as well. We'll catch you again in the next episode. Bye!
Bye!